In the sleepy town of Hayden, Idaho, life moved with the gentle rhythm of the seasons. Nestled between emerald forests and cerulean lakes, the town was but a humble smear on the canvas of nature, its peace occasionally punctured by the siren of the local police station. In this bastion of tranquility, Benedict Sloan was a common figure. His weathered face, with years etched into every line, carried an air of gentle kindness. Behind his gaze, however, was a man who had danced with death and walked away forever changed. His was a quiet resilience, an endurance not gifted, but won in the fires of his past. Benedict, the waitress at the local diner called, sliding a cup of steaming black coffee before him. "You look miles away." His eyes, clouded with thoughts, snapped into focus. "Just contemplating, Susan. This town, it's changing." The ground had indeed shifted. A network of ancient ruins had been discovered beneath the local police station. The soil of Hayden, once steady and firm, now harbored an enigma from ages past. Its quiet, rural simplicity was giving way to whispers of ancient civilizations and dark deities. "Change can be good, Benedict," Susan retorted, her voice carrying the edge of optimism that had kept the town's spirits buoyant in its most troubling times. "Or it can unearth things that should have remained buried," he replied, cradling the warm cup, his gaze lost somewhere in the swirling steam. Benedict's curiosity had been piqued, his sense of debt stirring within him. His past illness had left him with an unpayable debt, a second chance at life that needed to be honored. His scars were more than just markers of his survival. They were reminders of a borrowed life. Perhaps the mystery of these ruins was the opportunity he needed to repay this debt, to contribute something of lasting significance to the people in town that had given him a second chance. In the dying light of the day, Benedict walked down the main street, his shadow elongated like a dark echo of his past. He passed the police station, a monument to order and justice, now harboring an underworld of ancient enigma. The station stood ominously silent, its usual bustle silenced by the baffling discovery beneath it. "Benedict Sloan!" Sheriff Johnson boomed from behind. "The man who has seen the Reaper and lived to tell the tale." "Indeed, Johnson," Benedict replied, a small smile tugging at his lips. "But it appears that our town has a new tale unfolding." The sheriff frowned, worry creasing his usually jovial face. "A tale we don't quite understand, Benedict." A pregnant pause hung in the air between them. Their town, their quiet haven, was on the precipice of a dark mystery. The ruins had brought a shadow to Hayden, a shadow that reached far beyond the physical darkness of the unearthed labyrinth. "I intend to understand it, Johnson," Benedict affirmed, his gaze steady. "Maybe it's time to repay the debt I owe." The sheriff nodded, a silent understanding passing between them. The ruins were no longer just a discovery. They were a call to action, and Benedict Sloan was about to answer it. Beneath the concrete citadel of law and order, Benedict Sloan found himself standing at the entrance of the labyrinth. An abyss of time stretched out before him, the air heavy with the weight of epochs long forgotten. Each stone bore silent testament to an era lost in the mists of antiquity, whispering secrets in a language time had almost forgotten. The thought of what lay ahead both thrilled and chilled him. From his worn leather bag, he retrieved a small flashlight. The beam of light cut through the darkness, illuminating a path into the serpentine tangle of history beneath him. As he descended, a quiet determination unfurled within him, a silent vow to repay his life debt by unveiling the truths hidden beneath Hayden. As he ventured deeper into the labyrinth, his surroundings became a chiaroscuro tableau of light and shadow, of secrets whispered and kept. There, in the underground silence, he discovered etchings carved into the rock face, echoing an otherworldly beauty. They depicted a deity, dark and nebulous, its form seeming to fluctuate with every glance. In town, his encounters took a bizarre turn. He found himself drawn into the orbit of certain locales, their frenzied excitement over the ruins impossible to ignore. Among them was Marjorie, the town librarian, who now demonstrated an uncanny knowledge of ancient languages and civilizations, a sharp contrast to her previous interest in the modest collection of mystery novels at the library. "Benedict, isn't it fascinating?" she bubbled, her eyes gleaming with an unusual intensity. "This deity, it's like nothing we've ever seen." "Yes, fascinating, but peculiar," he murmured, the pieces of a strange puzzle beginning to click into place. Marjorie's fervor was not an isolated case. Sheriff Johnson spoke of others too, their minds seemingly sharpened overnight. Their fervor, however, was matched by a slow unraveling of their sanity. Johnson's eyes, mirroring concern and fear, seemed to ask the unspoken question: what price were they paying for their newfound intellect? "Benedict," the sheriff's voice wavered, "something ain't right." A nod was his only response. The situation was escalating, and time was of the essence. He needed to understand the connection between the labyrinth and the altered townsfolk. He needed to uncover what lurked through the veil. Late into the night, Benedict found himself poring over the etchings he'd photographed in the labyrinth, his mind turning over theories and connections. A creeping dread settled in his heart. An ancient deity, the slow erosion of sanity, puzzle pieces leading to a horrifying image. "What have we unearthed, Hayden?" he whispered into the quiet room, his voice carrying the weight of the mystery. "What kind of Pandora's box have we opened?" Days gave way to nights in a relentless procession as Benedict descended further into the labyrinth's belly and the mystery it held. Each corner of the labyrinth unfolded a new enigma. Each stone silently muttered a forgotten tale, and each echo resonated with an ancient dread. The town of Hayden, once a humble sanctuary of rural simplicity, had morphed into a theater of the surreal. His explorations revealed hidden alcoves containing curious artifacts, among them small chiseled stones stained with a peculiar crimson hue. An analysis revealed they were imbued with a substance bearing remarkable cognitive enhancing properties. The realization was as terrifying as it was enlightening. The townsfolk were using the stones, the mind-enhancing drug, to commune with the deity depicted in the ruins. Unbeknownst to them, each encounter gnawed at their sanity, leaving them mere husks, dancing to the tune of an ancient, cosmic puppeteer. The transformation of the townsfolk became even more apparent. Marjorie, the once demure librarian, had become increasingly erratic, her once sparkling intellect now shadowed by a creeping madness. Others exhibited similar symptoms, a heightened frenzy paired with a visible mental deterioration. In a town meeting held under the fluorescent lights of the town hall, Benedict met the frantic gaze of his fellow citizens. A chilling silence fell over the room as he relayed his discoveries, each word carrying the weight of impending doom. Panic stirred, a slow poison seeping into the heart of Hayden. In the depth of the ensuing chaos, he found himself seized by the frenzied devotees of the ancient deity. His protests were silenced, his struggles futile against their unnerving strength. He was forced to ingest the crimson-stained stone, the gateway to the deity's terrifying realm. He was no stranger to life-threatening situations, but what unfolded was beyond his wildest nightmares. His mind was thrown into an ethereal space, a realm outside of his understanding. There, in the fever dream of ancient gods and cosmic whispers, he heard the deity's voice. It sang songs of cosmic horror, of worlds devoured, of stars extinguished. Yet his past experiences had gifted him with a resilience against the drug's effects. He struggled to keep his mind his own, to resist the siren call of the deity. He was a captive, but he refused to be a victim. His quiet strength simmered beneath the surface, the spark of his willpower refusing to be extinguished. As the veil of night fell over Hayden, he found himself in the throes of an otherworldly encounter. The whispers of the deity echoed in his mind, a relentless onslaught threatening to drown him in a sea of cosmic horror. A once serene town had descended into madness, and Benedict, its lone hope, was caught in the maelstrom, teetering on the edge of his sanity. The veil of Hayden's night was torn asunder by the shrieks of the wind, an eerie accompaniment to the descent into madness below. The labyrinth, once a silent vestige of the past, now throbbed with an unholy life, its every stone echoing with the deity's whispers. Yet, amid the tumult, one man stood defiant, a bastion of resilience against the tide of cosmic horror. Benedict Sloan, his eyes reflecting the abyss that stared back at him, prepared to break free from the monstrous dance that held his town in its grip. Imprisoned within an ancient, subterranean chamber, he felt the cold dread creeping through his veins. Yet his illness, his dance with death, had endowed him with a tenacity that defied his quiet demeanor. His pulse pounded in sync with his resolve as he strained against the heavy ropes binding him. "My debt," he murmured, words fighting their way out between gritted teeth. His eyes were alive with a fire, a testament to his determination to reclaim his sanity and save Hayden from the menacing dark deity. Using a sharp fragment of stone, he began to work on the ropes. The whispers of the deity echoed around him, a relentless onslaught attempting to worm its way into his consciousness. But the terrors of his past experiences stood as a bulwark, offering a resilience against the drug's nightmarish effects. With each passing moment, he was clawing his way back from the edge of madness, inching towards freedom. Simultaneously, Hayden was caught in a maelstrom. The calm of the night was pierced by the eerie howls of the townsfolk, their sanity eroding under the deity's influence. The sheriff, fighting his own battles against the mind-enhancing drug, directed his dwindling forces, their task made impossible by the escalating chaos. Benedict, now free from his physical bonds, grappled with the mental ones. The deity's voice wove a mesmerizing tapestry of cosmic horror, tales of worlds where stars screamed and shadows devoured light. Each word, each syllable, was a siren call to oblivion. Resisting the cosmic allure, he mustered his strength and ventured forth from the chamber. The labyrinth, once an enigma, now felt eerily familiar, the deity's whispers having inadvertently revealed its secrets. He navigated the maze-like tunnels with an uncanny precision, his escape fueled by desperation and the resolve to free Hayden from this nightmare. As he emerged into the cool embrace of the Idaho night, he breathed a sigh of relief, a temporary respite from the hellish depths below. He was forever changed. His eyes now held the shadows of the abyss, and his mind echoed with the whispers of a dark deity. But he was free. He had escaped. The story of Benedict Sloan ends on a somber note. He had managed to repay his life debt by saving his town from further ruin, at the cost of his sanity and peace. He had danced with cosmic horror, peered into the abyss, and emerged, forever scarred but undefeated. The quiet town of Hayden, Idaho, bore the wounds of its encounter with the deity, but had survived, thanks to the quiet, resilient courage of a man who had repaid his debt to life. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like it and subscribe to our channel, where you can find more similar stories, and click on the bell icon to never miss one. There is plenty more cosmic horror to come from the Eldritch Tales Factory. Stay tuned, and until next time.